Okay. Hello. Welcome, everybody. I know I haven't posted on this channel nearly as much as I thought I would like 2 years ago when I started it, or a year ago when I tried to get back into it all. I don't have an excuse, honestly. I'm just mentally ill, struggling. It's been really hard. I was going to say a few years, and it has been, but to be honest, it's been a hard fucking life. I got no idea. Um, so yeah, I'm back. And I realize I've never really even really made an intro video to this. Most of you guys don't know who I am, you don't know what's going on. So I thought I would try this. So my name is Floyd. I live in Ballarat, Australia, and I here's the thing, I don't know what else to say about myself at this point because I used to clean toilets at the hospital. That was my job. I mean, I did more than that. It was also, I worked in the trucks, we delivered furniture, we did lots of little jobs. It wasn't just toilet cleaning, but I jokingly call it I was the toilet cleaner for 9 years. And you know what? I didn't hate it. I hated there's a lot of internal politics to that sort of job, but that probably goes with anywhere. But that place was particularly bad. Working in healthcare really messed me up. A lot. It really messed me up a lot. But anyway, I live here. I am now 27 years old. 28 next month. That's why I had to think. But yeah, I have suffered depression for I think my entire life. I'm not really sure. My doctor thinks it may have started when I was young, from what she can tell. But being a guy, I was too stubborn to ever admit that I had a problem until probably 4 years ago, three maybe 4 years ago was when I first discovered, well, didn't discover, like I said, I knew I had depression, but that was when I discovered that I couldn't live with it anymore. I couldn't continue to just pretend it didn't exist. I couldn't keep working these shift work shifts all over the place that were killing me. I couldn't deal with it. I was tired and I was drinking myself into an early grave, and I was over it. I really was. I didn't want to live anymore. I had just had enough. And I know that probably get me in trouble on YouTube or whatever, but that's the truth. I really didn't. I didn't care anymore. I still struggle and I have days where I sometimes think like that, but at this point I will admit most of the time I am better. I just lack an overall goal. I now it was not just depression, anxiety, and the big one, the one that is hardest for me or anyone else to work out and how it relates to the other two is autism. I have high functioning autism. I always have, probably always will, unless there's some miracle pill or treatment that comes out in the next decade or so, but so far I haven't even heard rumours about something like that beginning development, so ending its development cycle and being available for me. Maybe at the end of my lifetime, but by that point, even by this point, I'm not sure I would want to cure my autism. It is such a part of who I am and how I think that I don't know if I'd be me anymore without it, and I don't know if I could live like that. But yeah, I am a massive nerd, massive autistic, depressed nerd. So as much of a minority as that does make me, it also these days that is almost a stereotype because there is just so many autistic, nerds into gaming, super into Star Trek, super into Star Wars, all this sort of stuff. Game of Thrones. You look hard enough, you'll probably find a YouTube channel of somebody that I guarantee at least one of them doing those lore videos is autistic, because that is how our brains work. We obsess, we go over things, we can't help but know every little piece. It's not enough for me just to know that the Star Trek ship is named Enterprise. I need to know what Enterprise A, B, C, and D were, what parts of the show and series they were in. I need to know which movies they were in, and I'm the sort of person that will spend my free time reading about that. Of course, that accomplishes me nothing. I make no money doing so. I don't pay my bills with it. It usually ends up with me staying up later than I should for work, because I'm reading this stuff in my free time, which is causing me to lack sleep for things that are important because, I lack common sense for the most part. I lack self-control. I struggle. And for the most part, it's only been my struggle. I've never really, well, my parents struggle. They had to deal with me too. But I wasn't too bad. I feel like I'm still to this day mostly independent, stubbornly independent to the point where I still struggle to ask for help with anything. Because I don't like admitting that I can't do anything. It makes me feel like less of a person. And that sucks. That's not how it should be. I should be perfectly okay with asking for help. Because if someone cares about you enough to help you, you should let them. But it's hard. Because you can't... That's the problem with mental health. I can rationalize in my own brain that asking for help makes me no less of a person, that everyone needs help. But when it comes to actually needing help, I won't ask. I'll go without food. I will go without lots of things. Because I don't want to admit that I need help. And that's the hardest part of mental health. And maybe it's like this for everyone. I can't speak for anyone else, but being autistic and being mentally ill, because I don't consider autism to be a mental illness. Autism is just my brain is wired differently. What would you call it? What is a good word for? I don't know. I am a genetic subset. That makes me sound like an experiment, but that's, we don't even know yet whether autism is genetic. I think it is, just based on the fact that everyone I know who's autistic seems to have autistic relatives. It seems to be something that goes within families. I don't know, maybe you can be from a family that has no autism and you could develop autism. The fact is, we really don't know much about it right now. We know how it works and how it affects people for the most part, but there's still a lot of new things they discover that make us change that definition. We really don't know. There is no encyclopedia of autism. There's a lot of very smart people working in the field, and I'm glad they do, because it's given me lots and lots of material to read and try and understand who I am and why I think and do the things I do. But it's hard, man. It's, and having depression on top sucks because, well, how do I put it? Being autistic means I want to know everything. I have a logical, almost computer mind in that way. To me, knowing that this is a paintbrush is not enough for me. Why do we use... I'm the sort of person that... Maybe it's because I enjoy history and I like knowing stories and the ins and outs of stories, but I need to know everything. When I see a paintbrush, I'm like, this is not just a paintbrush. We use this to spread paint. And my brain goes, what's paint? So I end up in this rabbit hole of the internet looking into what paint is, how it's made, how ancient paints were made, how modern paint is made, how it's transported, how many tons we use a year. I look at things like this. This in particular is, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's upside down for you. This is a Citadel paintbrush, which is, I used to be really big into Warhammer 40,000. I still like Warhammer. I still love the universe. I love a lot of the characters. I think it's awesome. It's this weird world that makes no sense. The more you break down 40k, the less sense it makes, which I think is a large part of why over the years I've sort of moved away from it a bit. And I've learned just to accept it as rule of cool, which is a D&D term that a lot of people use for, yes, what you're doing makes sense. Like, if your character wants to do a backflip through a front door while firing his bow, yeah, within the rules that doesn't exist. But as a DM, you can go, you know what? I'm going to give you a negative of like -10 or something, because this is really hard to do, but you are a really agile elf, and if you want to pull it off, try it. Yes, within the rules, there's nothing saying a DM has to give you -10 if you want to do this. But it's rule of cool, because it's cool. It's like, I'm giving you a -10, so basically it's a 50-50 if you're going to succeed. Roll your dice. Let the dice decide, or let the dice gods decide, as they say. And it's fun, because it creates these cool moments where you and your friends can be like, yeah, but you've never done a backflip and headshot a boss and killed him. Because, if you roll the dice well enough and you fit the rules I stipulate and you manage to survive and pull off something cool, that's something that everyone in that group is going to remember. That's why sometimes it's fun to lean on the rule of cool, even though I'm an analytical, logical person. Because it's fantasy and it's sci-fi, and sometimes it's allowed to just be fun, even though it doesn't make sense. But being autistic, it's hard. It's like, like I was saying about this paintbrush. It's not enough for me just to know that it's a paintbrush. I need to know the history of it. I bought this because it's Citadel. Citadel Paints used to supply most of what Warhammer 40,000 does in Games Workshop. I don't ask me. I'm not that into it anymore. I literally have this around because I use this to clean the dog hair and my hairs that I molt from my beard off of my keyboard to stop them getting between the keys. I find the bristles really useful. This is basically a duster for me at this point. I use it for dusting. Mostly because I can't afford Warhammer 40,000, but also just because I fell out of love with the hobby. It's too expensive. There's too many other things. I don't want to go into that today. Maybe that's something we'll talk about one day, but that's not something I want to talk about today. That's, different story. But it was more the point of my autistic mind makes me need to know everything. Something as simple as picking up a paintbrush can lead me to 12 hours of bullshit reading about things that aren't important and won't affect my life in any way, but because I need to know. My curiosity will drive me mental until I know these things. And that leads me to read lots of things and know lots of things and not fully understand them. I'm no scientist by any means. I couldn't go in my backyard and develop paint out of things in the backyard because I'm not that useful. I'm just not that skilled at it. I mean, I probably could if I really tried, but I'm not going to put in that much effort to it. But I will read about it. I'll probably even end up watching a do-it-yourself from home video from somebody who did it because I'm fascinated by it. Because I want to know things. I just love learning things. I find it rewarding. It's one of the only rewarding things I have in life, I feel like, is learning things. Because I fail at everything else I try. And that's where my depression kicks in, is that I don't necessarily fail, I just have bad attempts. And really, I should try again. But my depression leads me down that rabbit hole of, you failed, you're shit at this, you can barely keep your hands still, I can't even write. Like when I do handwriting, it looks like a little kid wrote it. Because I just can't do it. I've never been able to. Even in grade 1, I had to have tutoring to help me hold a pen. I had to learn to hold one because I was just dropping it all over the place because I couldn't work it out. I struggled. I didn't know what to do. And it's embarrassing because then other kids look at you and you're in prep in grade 1. Luckily, I did get support. My mother was very good at that stuff. But my parents, but mostly my mother because I lived with her. And she was very good at doing that stuff. She would get me tutors and I'd complain and be ungrateful. But it helped. And, it let me not be laughed at as much. Which, there's the other thing of autism that's stupid. When I say I don't care what people think, for the most part, that is true. I'm autistic. I'll do what I enjoy, and if it bothers you, I'm sorry, but I do what I want. I know that sounds really selfish, but it's that I don't view the world that emotionally. But my depression forces me to, and then my depression fights with my autism in my brain of, oh, you don't care about this, but that person's laughing at you, which is wrong, and because you're autistic, you're going to obsess over this and work out how to not make them laugh at you. And because I'm obsessing over it, people laugh more. And you get stuck in this loop of, no matter what you do, you feel like you're not doing enough. When in reality, you should just take a step back and be like, this is stupid, why do I even care? But your depression, anxiety leads you into it, and your autism makes it worse. And it's hard. It's really hard to live like that. I know I laugh a lot too, but that's more of a habit that I've taught myself over the years. Not that I'm super unhappy, Depression is one of those things that I feel like it's hard to explain if you don't have it. For me, it's always present. It's not always affecting me though, but it is always there. Sometimes I have the mental fortitude to basically block it off. I'll be doing something and I'll have those depressive thoughts of, this is stupid, why are you wasting your life doing this? What money are you making with this? Will this pay your bills? Why are you spending 10 hours with this? Sometimes that's good, because sometimes it makes you stop and assess things and go, you know what? There's something else I should be doing. I'm going to go do that. But a lot of the time it causes you to just sit there and be depressed. It pushes you into depression. It's a hard thing to fight, and I'm forever fighting it. And I will continue to forever fight it, because, well, there's not really any other solution. I take antidepressants. They help. Sometimes they help, but there are still periods where sometimes it's just overwhelming. And no matter how strong an antidepressant I'm on, it will not fix the depression. It is still there. It might act as a crutch, and it might sometimes help me fight for long enough without giving up and be somewhat productive in between, and that's nice. a much better quality of life than what I had before I was taking them. But they're not a cure, and there is no cure for autism or depression, and I will forever live in this spiral of autism and depression. I still don't know how to live with that. I'm 27, I'm nearly 28, and I don't know how to deal with my own brain. I go to do things, I lose interest. I spend money on it because I'm convinced this is something I'm going to love forever, and then I lose interest. Which leads me to the other side of depression and kind of, not just depression, but I suppose knowing things is not always good. It's that curse of ignorance is bliss. My autism leads me to read all about things, which leads me to not appreciate things very much. Because I read all the bad things about it and the side effects. And then I tend to dwell on that, and I lose the joy I had on the good side of it. And that sucks. It does. I wish I could turn that off in my brain. I wish I could just enjoy things for what they are, but I can't help but look at the negative, and then you end up... Negativity breeds negativity. If you see one bit of negativity, you'll read 3 other things about it, and that'll lead you to feel even more negative about it, and you'll lose that positivity and just keep spiraling down. It's hard. I don't know. I find that currently, like I said, I used to clean toilets. I don't clean toilets anymore. I don't work anymore because I can't. I mentally cannot do it. I cannot hold a regular job. I cannot be social all the time. I just can't. I try it and I get exhausted. I worked for 9 years. I did it, and I would do shifts, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a sleep schedule person. I know that's funny as someone with autism that I'm supposed to love schedules, but I don't. I don't love schedules. I like doing as I feel. And when I can't do as I feel and I'm forced into schedules and locks and lists and authorities that tell me no, it pushes me back into depression, and then I end up going, sometimes I have 2 or 3 months where I'm really good. Like currently I'm actually pretty good. I know I'm talking about a lot of negative stuff here and overanalyzing myself, but, it's hard. It's one of those things where you just need to learn, you got to find a way to cope with the real world, with your mental issues in some way. I'm lucky that I have family that helps me deal with it. Honestly, I wouldn't be here without my family supporting me. Not necessarily fully financially. I get a disability pension, mind you. I'm not saying that I live off my parents' money. I'm not, at that point. I do live. This is my house. I bought this house with money I saved when I worked. I pay for it with disability payments that I get from the government, which I am grateful for. I do wish they were a bit more and maybe helped more because, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say disability pension is just under $1,000 a month. That's not much. When I worked in environmental services, I made on average, now mind you, I'm going to put this down. Mind you, my shifts changed a lot. Like I said, I did shift work. 7 till 3 was not my only shift. I also did 10:30 to 6. I would do 9:30 to 6. I would do night shift. I would do early morning shifts that started at 2 a.m. and I would finish work at like lunchtime. And sometimes I would do them back to back. And any shift worker will tell you that takes it out of you. And when you have a roster that is something like this, when you've got you got 2 days that are like 7 to 3, then you'll switch on, you'll have a really early theatre shift. It's like 2 a.m. till 1 p.m. Then you'll have a single day off, and it's like, oh, cool, I got a day off. But what do you do with that day? You sleep. I would find I'm tired because I'm autistic, so socializing is tiring. Being in crowds is tiring because there's so much stimulus. There's so much stuff I need to understand because I'm autistic. I need to understand. I can't just walk past things. Which means I spend the whole day asking questions. I spend the whole day thinking. I spend the whole day looking at signs. I spend the whole day making notes. And it's tiring. I feel like it's so much more tiring just being out, which is why I tend to just stay home so often. So working is tiring both socially, environmentally, like the stimuli, the people, the conversations. It's tiring, man. Wears me out. And then there's the actual work, and well, the actual work's not too bad. I'll be honest. If I used to joke that if the hospital was empty when I did my shift and filled the second I left, I'd be okay with that. I would have loved to have gone through the hospital, at night time and only done night shift. That's the other thing too. If I had just done one shift, it would have been okay. But it's the switching between tiring. Because like I was saying about the one day, you don't have a day off realistically, because here's what happens: you do that shift 2 until 11. You come home at 11 and you're like, cool, I'm off for the rest of the afternoon. I got tomorrow off. I can stay up late tonight. I can sleep in. I can do whatever I feel. But you don't. Realistically, you're tired. You come home from work at 11, you're exhausted because you got up stupid early. You're so tired that you come home, you can barely be bothered cooking, so you're probably going to eat something that's not a proper diet. So then you're going to be more tired because you don't have the energy. Then you're probably going to go to bed at some, time later than you should. Probably because you're tired, you want to go to bed, but it's also tomorrow's your day off and you're like, I've just spent 3 days working. I want to enjoy myself a little. So you watch something, or for me, I play a video game, or I do something, or I play with the dogs for a bit longer than I should. I get on the chat with some friends. And all that's tiring, but it's enjoyable, because that's stuff I'm choosing to do. But it's tiring. And then you'll go to bed a bit later than you probably should. You'll sleep in a bit later than you probably should on your day off, and that's fine. You'll get up, it'll be, by the time you get out of bed, you actually stop scrolling on your phone, you make some food, you sort of get up, maybe get dressed, and you're like, alright, what am I going to do with my day off? It's mid-afternoon. You've slept till nearly lunch, by the time you've got your food and cleaned up, it's mid-afternoon, you're like, oh, I should probably get my work uniform ready, because I have work tomorrow. And then you find your day off became 3 or 4 hours of free time, because you were just procrastinating and not doing anything. And then you're back at work for like 4 or 5 shifts. And you're like, wow, I'm tired and I've done nothing for me. Everything I've done has been work or preparing for work or being tired from work. And I lived like that for years. And I tried. I would push myself. I would go out with friends. I would drink. I would try and force myself into social situations because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That's life. That's how you're meant to be. And it can be fun. But I didn't set enough boundaries for myself as an autistic, depressed person that I can't do all that. And so I burnt myself out. I had burnout. I still have burnout. I don't know if I will ever recover from burnout. I don't know if I will ever feel like me again. That tiredness that I said I would feel on those days off, that's my everyday state now. I am tired like that. I feel like I am 24/7. I feel like I'm hungover levels of exhausted. I feel like I've just had a real depressing week at work. I've drank too much and it's the Saturday morning after and I'm out of it. And I feel like that's me 24/7 now. That's how I feel. Everything is an effort. That is depression. That is everything is an effort. The act of getting out of bed and jumping in the shower is an effort, because while I get in the shower, I'm just going to be dirty again. And I know that's stupid again, because that's your brain telling you, of course you're going to be dirty again. That's why you clean yourself, so you can be clean in between getting dirty. But when you're super depressed, your brain hits that point of, what's the point? I'm going to clean, then what? I'm going to get dirty, and then I'm going to have to shower again. Well, I can't be bothered now. I can't be bothered in 2 days. Why shower in the first place? And that leads you down some very, very dark places where you can get, I'll admit, sometimes I would go 2 or 3 weeks without showering. It's gross. It's really gross. Even me, it's gross. When it happens, it's gross. I know it's gross. I feel the sweat on me. I know it's disgusting. And then you jump in the shower. Eventually, that's the good part, is eventually you will have days where depression will lower. I won't say go away, but it'll lower. It'll lower to enough where you look at the shower and suddenly you're like, you know what? Shower does sound like effort, but I've got the energy right now. I'm going to go do it. So you go do it. And then you find that you've got the energy to cook. And then, because you're cooking, you're going to eat better, and then you're going to have that little bit more energy. People are going to be that bit nicer to you because, you don't stink. You don't look like shit. So people treat you better, which makes you feel better, which can help. But then depression will hit you and you'll be burst straight back down. And then you've got to, when you're down, you realize you've got to put all that effort in again to get back to even the state you were in, which isn't fully recovered, it's just semi-normal. And then you're back down, and then depression hits you harder and harder with that. It's harder and harder to get up every time you're knocked down. Not easier. People say it'll get easier. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. If it does for you, then I'm glad for you, and I all the best to you. I hope it never bothers you again when you recover. But for me, I know it will. It will, because it's been 27 years and that's not changing. It's probably going to be 47, 50, 60 years, and I'm still going to be in this cycle. The difference is now, I've learned to accept that. I don't know if I'll ever work again. I really don't. I would like to. I would, because, I'll be honest, the income from Centrelink's not great. It's better than nothing. I am very thankful that I'm not on the street, because realistically I haven't made an income in over a year and I should be homeless. I live in a country where that's not the case, but I'm not treated well either. I'm still, we earn bare minimum. My expenses are basically what my income is. My free money to spend on things that I enjoy is very rarely more than $20. 20, that's a bit much. Now and again, I get about 1,000, a little under. My expenses equate to around about 700 every fortnight. And realistically, if I want to stay ahead, I need to be putting money towards big bills that are going to come up once a year or whatever. Things like my car rego, things like house insurance. I don't have money for that, so I have to put money aside. So realistically, my free money works out to be, you're lucky if it's 100 a fortnight. And that's, it doesn't go far. In the modern day, I know $100 isn't much, sounds weird, but it's really not. It's like a millionaire in the 90s was a big deal, but now, who cares? Well, it's not who cares. If you're a millionaire, good on you. Like, well done for getting that far, but there's so many billionaires now that the scale of becoming a millionaire, because of inflation and other factors, isn't that big a deal. It's like $100 now is not that big a deal. It doesn't go far. In the 90s, yeah, $100 I could have gotten myself lunch and dinner and probably, bought myself, rented a few movies or something and had a good weekend. Now, $100, you could get one type of takeaway delivered once and, pay off your Netflix and stuff. Pay off your, Netflix and maybe a Disney Plus, and that's it. So I could watch some TV and eat chips once, and then for 2 weeks I'm going to be broke. Yeah. But that's just how it is. Currently, I'm trying to, out the back, I'm actually working on some lawn, some gardens. I've got some tarps out and flattening an area, hoping to grow some food. I'd like to grow some veggies, because I figured if my current food bill is at least 200, figured if I can grow veggies and cut down some of that cost, that's an extra $20 here and there I can use elsewhere. Maybe 100 if I get to a point where I'm really self-sufficient. But I don't know. That's just stuff I'm trying because it just makes life easier. You got to do something. But it's hard. It is really hard sometimes. I don't know what to do. I sit here and I watch things and I read things and I don't know what to do. I'm never getting better. I don't know what to do with that. Society is so built around. It's easy. You just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You just got to get in there and try harder and work harder. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but until you've got a pill for autism and depression, I can't do that. I can try. If I ever recover from burnout, maybe I can put in another 9 years in some job that I hate, in a place that exhausts me, that makes me miserable. And then maybe I'll survive another 9 years. And then what? My life doesn't get better. I'm surviving. I own this house. That's the one thing I can say in the last decade that I've done right, is that I saved and I bought this house. And because of house pricing going through the roof over the last decade, and especially over the last 2 years, I bought it at a good time. Realistically, if I hadn't bought when I did, I would never own a home. Well, at least not until my parents died and I inherited theirs, because there's no way I would be able to own a home myself. It's just not going to happen. I don't know what to do. I've tried YouTube stuff, and I'm going to keep trying, mind you. Not all my videos are going to be these super depressive about me things, but this is a video I wanted to make mostly about me and what it's like to live with depression and autism. I want to do more YouTube stuff. I really do. And I even try and Twitch stream, and it's hard. It's hard. I start, and I find that when I stream, I find it tiring. It's kind of like working. I get that same feeling because I know people are dropping in and they're watching me. YouTube, not so much. I feel like because it's a video, like right now I'm talking to a screen. And for all I know, no one will ever watch this. Or 1 million people will watch this. But something about them watching a video about me, as opposed to watching me in real time, is a different level of anxiety that I can live with YouTube easier. I will continue to try and live stream because it is fun. I have had great streams, and I've, talked to some cool people on there, and I really enjoy that stuff. But, I am a 28-year-old with autism, depression, and anxiety who still, I don't know what I want to do in life. People keep asking me that question. I'm like, I don't know, man. I cleaned toilets for 9 years hoping to pay bills to do things I enjoyed until I got inspiration to be something better. But inspiration never came, and I don't think it ever will. I'm still at the point of life where I am basically arguing with myself and trying to convince myself that taking care of yourself so you have a tomorrow is worth it. Even though I don't know what I'm going to do with tomorrow, and realistically probably nothing. And that's hard. I think that's a big part of why I'm such a nerd. That's why I like stories, because escapism, it takes me out of this world. Because in this world, I'm nothing. In this world, I'm a bearded dude. I have some family that love me, and I appreciate that, and I have a lot of not a lot, but I have some very good friends that I'm very close with, and I'm very grateful for that. But what else do I'm never going to be a billionaire. I'm never going to be a millionaire, not unless somebody decides to hand it to me. I'm never going to earn that money. I'm just not that type of person. And it's not just because I'm a failure or I'm not successful or I couldn't be successful. The thing is, I know I probably could be if I put myself into it and try. It's that I know I don't want to. I know I would be miserable in any of those kind of lifestyles. I don't like schedules. I don't like work. Not work. It's not that I hate working. I'm not that lazy that I hate doing anything. It's that I hate this idea of work. I hate having to answer to a boss. I hate having to deal with people who don't get or care about my problems, honestly. Because that's the truth of it. They don't care. Just like me, for the most part. I don't mean to sound harsh, but when I go down the street, like I said, I buy stuff. I'm going into a store to buy stuff for me. If the storekeeper's having a bad day, like, I feel sorry for him, but I don't want to spend 4 hours in there chatting with him to make him feel better. I should. Sometimes I feel bad about the fact that I don't. Like, I probably should. I do feel bad for that person. But I really don't. And that's the society we live in, is this fast-paced, everything has to go now, now, now. And everyone's living this rat race, and I just want to slow down. Like, do you even want to do that? Why are you running? Why are you running? Why are you beeping? Like, I used to get into road rage incidents where I would beat my horn and yell at people, and I think back, like, why? What was I in such a hurry to get to that I made my life harder and made that person's life harder to get to it? Because I don't remember what it was, so it can't have been that important, so why did I care so much? Truth is, I don't know. I might kind of have right now I look like a homeless man, but I kind of have the wizard look. I should have brushed my hair and stuff before all this, but I'll be real, I just got up not long ago, so this is authentic, autistic, depressed dude getting up at 11 o'clock in the day. What is it now? Currently it's nearly dinner times. There you go. I got up just before lunch. I've had a tiny bit to eat for lunch, and I sat around and watched YouTube for about 3 hours until I decided, I should make a video. I was like, you know what, I have a YouTube channel, I should use it. I made it for this express purpose that I wanted to use it. Because and here's the thing, there are cool people out there. There are people with money out there that don't care about their money and are happy to help people. I guess I'm putting my hand up to maybe be one of those people you want to help. And by the way, I want to say, because I know you guys saw this, and I know this is a thing that people do, no, I am not self-harming. That's not something I do. If you see that, and don't stress about that. I'm thankful that you would see that as a problem and that you would say something, but that's not what's happening here. This is my cat. This is when my cat decided in the middle of the night, because I slept, I was sleeping like this with one arm out, and I had it sort of cupped like that, and my cat was in there. He likes to get in and put his nose under my elbow or in my armpit. He likes to sleep in there, which is fine. It's cute. I like doing that. I have him there and it's nice. But he, decided randomly at 3 a.m. the other night that he was in play mode, and he woke up and he wrapped his claws around my arm while I was basically falling asleep watching Star Trek and decided to attack me. So now I have this. I also have dogs that have quite sharp claws and love to play, particularly the boy. He's very rough. So, there's that. So don't stress about that. I appreciate if you're worried about me, but it is not that. I'm not that sort of depressed person. Everyone deals with their depression differently. I don't know if I deal with mine because I'm autistic this way, or whether it's just because I'm me. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for other people and how they act. But, if you see that with me, don't stress. But if you see it in other people that have depression, look out for them. Because I've never been one to self-harm in that way. I've always been more of I used to drink a lot. I can't drink anymore because my stomach's bad. My stomach's at the point where I have to have Dexium every day, a tablet to lower the stomach acid, because I drank so much that I damaged it. I drank so much that my stomach is now damaged, and I have to have tablets every day to not be in pain. So don't do that. Don't do that, people. Do not destroy your body because you're depressed. It's not a good way to deal with it. When you're either doing it physically or you're drinking a substance that will do it for you, don't do it. It's going to hurt you. Help people if you see them going through that, because they need it. It's the sort of thing that's, I don't know. And people are going to ask, how do you help people? And I don't know. How do you help someone that doesn't want to admit they have a problem, or doesn't see it as a problem? Because a lot of people don't. I don't know. All I can say is that for people that are depressed or autistic out there, don't feel ashamed for doing what you have to do for yourself. And don't ever feel ashamed for doing what you enjoy. Because what is life? If you're not enjoying things, what is life? Honestly, if you're depressed and most of life feels like you're not enjoying it, and there's a few things you enjoy and other people laugh at because it's nerdy or it's stupid or it's weird, honestly, fuck them. I'm not even going to pull punches on that. Fuck them. You don't have to be aggressive and go out and call them names and get back at them, but just do it. Just unapologetically be you. Do what you enjoy, because if you're not enjoying life, what's the point in living it? We exist to enjoy life. Life's meant to be happy. That's why we have the ability to laugh. That's why we do things and make people happy. Because happiness is fun, and spreading it can be fun. I'm a nerd. Me personally, I get a lot of my enjoyment from animals. I get a lot of my enjoyment from history. I get a lot of my enjoyment from reading fantasy worlds, fictional worlds, just sci-fi worlds, stories. I love stories. I love putting myself in the perspective of someone that's somewhere else and seeing what life's like for them. I'm not big into autobiographies and stuff. I have read some. It's interesting. I'm more into fiction just because I find people, I don't find people that interesting for the most part. I'm not a psychologist. I don't want to spend life reading about current people. Like historical people and historical events, sure, that's fascinating because it's different to my current life. But, I don't know. I like fictional worlds. I just love the characters. I love getting involved in it. I love getting around it. You name it. If there's a fandom that's massively nerdy, I'm probably involved in it in some way. Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, really. Because these days, I'll be honest, I'm more of a book fan than I am a show fan. Because the show went pretty downhill when they ran out of book content. But again, that's something we're not going to talk about here because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the argument of that at the moment. But yeah, maybe we'll have a rant about that at some point. This is kind of a rant. I did call this Rants and Reviews, so I intend to review things and I intend to rant a bit. This is a rant about me and living life with autism and depression. I've probably ranted and gone all out of whack, and this is probably not an ordered video at all. I didn't stick to doc points. I didn't do a script. This is just off the heart, what I felt at the time. And I don't see anything wrong with doing a video like that. Not every video needs to be a Hollywood production with editors and all that stuff. I feel like sometimes it's okay to just put out your thoughts. So that's what I'm doing. These are my thoughts on living with autism and depression. It's hard. It sucks. But you can do it. You just gotta find what you enjoy in life and hang on to that for dear life, because life will keep hitting you, bills will keep smacking you, and, well, hang on to your enjoyment, because your enjoyment and your memories of that enjoyment might be the only good thing in your life, and that's okay, because they're there, and that matters. So, we just hit 40 minutes, so, Jesus, I haven't even gone into a lot of things, but that's okay. We will, I think, end the video here. So this is my first review, and I'm sorry I just slapped the mic stand. That probably just made a horrible sound. But thank you for coming by, to anyone that does watch this, and tell me what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments. I'm very interested to hear what the hell people have to say about this, because I don't often even admit that I'm autistic. That's something that's a new thing, and I won't apologize for it anymore, or try and hide it, or be embarrassed of it. It is who I am. It is a part of who I am, and I have to admit that. There's no pride in pretending it's not there, and there's no pride in it either. I'm not proud to be autistic. I'm not saying if you're not autistic, you're not as good as me or anything. Like, you're you, and I'm me. That's all there is to it. So, bye for now.